Hey guys, 7 o'clock in the Midwest. You know what that means. Paranormal Among Us. And joining me is Krista. How you doing today, Krista?
I'm good. How are you?
Feeling better?
Good. Yeah, I am.
Good.
It's just kind of meh. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? One of those
Yeah.
days. So, yeah, I'm good though.
All day today, I don't know if I've been in the sun too long these last 2 days, but I just been dragging today.
Yeah, I hear you. I've been actually. I told you backstage. I'm a big Ozzy Osbourne fan,
Uh-huh.
and it's Ozzy's last performance was on, and I paid to stream it, so I've been watching that all day.
Where is that at?
Birmingham, England.
Wow. And
Yeah.
he can't walk, so he's
Yep.
sitting there singing the songs and performing the
Yep.
show there. And I just find that amazing that he can do that with all the energy that he has to put into singing and projecting his voice and everything,
He
that he's
actually
just able to
sounds
do it
pretty
sitting
good.
there. Yeah.
Actually sounds pretty good. So yeah, I mean Metallica was on there, Guns N' Roses, Pantera. I mean, there's all kinds of metal bands on there.
They were all
And,
playing.
yeah, and the guest of honor, the MC was Jason Momoa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Jack Black made an appearance. Yeah, it's been good. Been watching it all day.
Wonder how Jason fit into this. That's weird.
Well, he actually reached out. Okay, I know this because I read about it. He reached out to Ozzy. He wanted tickets to his show, and then Sharon asked him to host it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. Yep. So anyway, it's been pretty good. So
Have you heard if
I'll probably go back to finish.
have you heard if he wanted to come to our conference? Maybe he can host our
That would be
conference. Not
fantastic.
that Tex is a bad host, but
Right.
we can probably get a hell of a lot more people if Jason Momoa can
Yeah.
host it.
Yeah. Yep. And then Bristol said all proceeds
Yep.
from the concert go to charity. So yeah, it's been really good. I think it cost me like $20 or something, but it's all day, you know.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's
You can pause it and everything. So
I'm sure
like I
there's a
said,
bunch of people that are live streaming it, and not to mention all
oh
the
yeah.
proceeds from the ticket sales
Oh
from the
yeah.
concert itself.
Sure. For sure. So
Wow.
yeah, it's his final show. So
Very cool. Very cool. I've been lately. I've been more of a Ozzy Osbourne fan. Not all of his stuff,
mhm.
but some of it. But yeah, I think that's just pretty impressive that he's going out
Yeah.
like that, and he
Yeah.
can't walk, but he's sitting there singing. So
Sitting there
that's
singing, he's
great.
still, got the head going and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard him talking
Mhm.
during one part, and he sounded great. I mean, before
Yeah.
you couldn't really understand him, and now
I think he's off the drugs and the alcohol, so now you can understand him a little better,
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
guy's pretty well preserved, I think.
Yeah, he really is. So, like I said, I've been an Aussie fan, for a long, long time. So it was worth that $20 for me to stream it.
Yeah. And I think we're alike, where we like a lot of the older classic rock bands and stuff,
Mhm.
and it's kind of sad that they're all getting up there in age.
It really is. It
But
really is.
I mean, Ozzy's still rocking it. I mean, look
Hmm.
at Van Halen, and a lot of the other bands
Yeah.
are still plugging away.
Yeah. Yeah. True. The tenfold. Randy says something about Judas Priest. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he's still going good too.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of them out there still.
And you got
So.
the Rolling Stones, who are, well,
Hmm.
they got to be in their hundreds by now.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yep.
hey, guys, we have a great show tonight. We have Jason and Dave from Paranormal 411. Met them down at Townsend, Tennessee, at the Bigfoot Festival down there. Gary Spikes, Willie Nelson just did Farm Aid, and he's 93 years old. My God.
Willie was just in St. Louis last weekend. And
I thought I heard that.
yeah, Casey was giving away tickets, and I tried to win tickets. It was Willie and Bob Dylan. Because had I won tickets, I wouldn't have been at Emmaus last weekend.
Right.
I tried,
And
though. I tried.
kind of a fun fact, KSHE is a radio station here in St.
Yeah.
Louis, 94.7. And somebody, I don't know if one of the wars, the Iraqi war or Kuwaiti or Desert Storm or whatever, one of these wars, one of the soldiers put a sticker on a tank or a bomb that had KSHE 95 sticker on it.
Really?
So yeah, KSHE was going overseas with them. So
Oh, wow.
little fun
Wow.
fact.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Casey's an old radio station. It's older than we are. It's been here in St. Louis. They've always played classic rock and pretty
Yeah.
well known radio station, honestly.
Yeah. So, if you like classic rock, and they have a huge library of stuff. They play new stuff, old stuff, all kinds of stuff. Look them up. KSHE 95. You see a big pig on there. So anyway, let's bring our guests up. Jason and Dave are here. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Hey.
Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for the invite.
Thanks. Hey, no problem. I was on you guys' show a couple weeks ago. I had a blast. I got you guys over here, and we're going to have just as much fun. So thank you guys again for spending your holiday weekend with us. First off, how was your 4th of July weekend? You have a good time? Everybody still have all their fingers?
Yes.
Yeah. we shot a few fireworks off, not many, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I like watching them myself.
Me too.
I was in the pool with the beer, so no fireworks, but I watched them go off.
I haven't bought fireworks. My grandma died on 4th of July in '89.
Wow.
And I haven't brought myself to buy any fireworks since then. So I'm just happy watching everybody else doing it, and keep all my fingers and stuff. So.
Yeah.
I went and watched my towns here last night. They had a big one, and then they have another one tonight. See how I feel, but tonight's not until 10:30. So me and the girls might go up there.
Yeah. And we normally have a bunch all around the house. There's a park down the street a little bit that has a big display, so it's kind of cool. Don't have to go anywhere really. So but anyway, guys, again, thanks for coming on tonight. We have quite a bit to talk about. First off, how did you two hook up and start your show, and tell us a little bit about Paranormal 411?
Jason, you want to go ahead and tell that story?
No, you go ahead and do it.
I actually had a house that was pretty haunted, and it was a little girl, and I had actually seen her. She actually revealed herself to me. It was on a Easter night. I was sitting in my living room, and I seen something coming out of the middle bedroom. I turned and looked, and it was a little girl. She was probably, 8 or 9. She had a big green Easter dress on. And I just kind of looked at her, and she looked at me, and then I kind of turned back around to watch TV, and I was like, wait a second. And so, I was like bugging Jason. At the time, Jason and I worked together, and I kept bugging him to come over and, hey, let's just see what's going on at my house. And Jason was like, okay. So, we started off with using cell phone, just, hitting record, and we caught some crazy EVPs. And Jason, what was funny about it is that Jason was sitting down, and he could probably tell you the story better, but he was sitting down in my chair, and we was doing an EVP session. And after that EVP session, we listened back to the EVP session, and a little girl, Jason was like, are you sitting on my lap? And you hear this voice go, yes, like that right there. I mean, just as plain as day. Wow. And Jason decided 2 weeks later, that he was gone. He was like, hey, it's time for me to go home. It took me about 2 weeks to get him to come back over to the house. And so it was kind of fun. But when he came back over that second time, we actually got even more activity, and actually heard a male's voice that time. And that one was crazy, because not only my digital voice recorder, but Jason was on the other side of the room when we were sitting there. And Jason asked, he goes, about a little backstory, I guess. About 2 or 3 weeks prior to that, I had been scratched. I had 3 scratches that come from the bottom of my ear all the way to my shoulder. And so Jason, my son, got off school early that day, and Jason was like, why don't you scratch him, the one with the glasses on, which was my son. And when we listened back at the EVP, you hear a man's voice, and you could distinctly tell it was a male's voice, but it went, when he says, "Why don't you scratch him?" you hear that voice go, "Who?" And then when he said the one with glasses on, when Jason said the one with glasses on, you hear a male's voice go, "Little boy." And I mean, it was perfect. But what was crazy is that we was on two complete opposite ends of the room from each other. And it sounded like something was right in my microphone and right in his microphone when it spoke.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
That kind of started it all. What happened to Jason?
Uh-oh.
He gone.
Maybe that guy scratched him.
Maybe.
Or hit the exit button.
He's running. He's like, "Woo, see you."
Wow. Wow.
But that's kind of what started everything, you know. With me, I've actually been able to see ghosts my whole life. It started at the age of 3 for me.
I have no idea what happened.
Now he's on that side. What's up?
Hey, I don't know.
We switched places.
Said poof and was gone.
But you know what was funny was that at the age of 3, I used to get woke up every morning, and there was 3 or 4 people. They looked just like regular people to me, standing in my bedroom, and it would scare the bejesus out of me. I'd take off running out of my bedroom, screaming to my mom, and no one else could see these things but me. And so, you know, that's kind of, for me, hit the lifelong, you know, where I've been trying to search for what is this? You know, not only can I see them, but what is it? You know, what happens to us when we die? And then all the other questions that tangle into that, you know, that's a rabbit hole in its own, but that's what started me.
Wow.
And Jason, you were a skeptic before all this, right?
Yeah, I was a non-believer, sad to say, but when we went out to listen to the EVPs, I mean, it just gave me cold chills, and I don't know, it shook me to the core, and I just said, David, I gotta go. I don't know, I gotta go. And from that day on, I do believe that there's something else after, you know, there's gotta be. Because that was it wasn't a coincidence. It was her voice telling me that she was sitting on my knee. And every time I'd do the EMF meter to my knee, it would just go crazy. And there's no denying what it was. I mean, but it opened my eyes. Yeah.
You had corroborating evidence with that, though, because not only with the EMF, but at the same time, we caught the voice that, you know, actually
got the voice, the EMF. It really shocked me, and from then on, I haven't been as afraid as I was. I used to be scared to die. Now I'm not. I mean, I know there's something else there, and we don't know what it is yet. I mean, a lot of people speculate, but there's definitely something else after this life.
Yeah, for sure. So you said you were a skeptic. Were you a skeptic in, you know, like UFOs and the cryptid side of things as well, or just the ghosts?
Basically about everything. I was raised in pretty hardcore Christian.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Understand.
And it was just not right for me to believe any other way. And
I was his weird friend, you know.
David showed up and
the dark side, right?
Yes, I did.
Put me on the dark path. No, it ain't dark. It's been enlightening, really. It really has.
Yeah.
It's been enlightening. And I don't know.
You know, I agree that
it
is an enlightening path, but it could very easily be a very dark path.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you on that one. So what made you, Jason, what made you believe more in the UFOs and the Bigfoot side of things?
Well, a lot of I guess some evidence. I have a problem with believing people. And Dave, I believe him. He's my brother, and he wouldn't lie about something about seeing a Bigfoot. I mean,
So that
I don't
shocked me.
know.
I believed in them, but when I saw it, it shocked me. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just have a feeling there's Bigfoot out there.
Mhm.
Aliens, I know for a fact. I've had this lucid dream about aliens for a while. And as I don't remember my dreams often, but when I do, they're powerful. And I don't know, I just believe there's something. We did see what we think is a UFO, me and David did on his front porch.
It was actually wasn't it after our very first episode?
I think
we
it
did.
was.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was in 2012. Yeah.
What happened?
So we were standing on my front porch, just talking about what had happened, about the show, because back then we didn't do a live show. It was more of a podcast.
Mhm.
And coming from the west, heading east, you saw this perfectly round circle, and it was just radiating white.
Mm-hmm.
It was bright.
Almost like a street light or something. It's kind of what it looked like, way up in the air. I mean, it was really high up, kind of what you see a regular airplane at, probably somewhere around that 30,000 feet mark or so, where you see airplanes usually at. But the ball was probably about this big around at that far. So, it had to be pretty good size.
Right.
But it went as far as we could see from the west to pretty dang far east. And what made us go, whoa, that was pretty crazy, is that, we have a few airports around us.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to land, you'll see that big white lights come on the front of them. Sure. But after it had passed us, you could still see that white light. So it's not the landing lights on the plane.
Right.
Plus, there was none of the blue or red lights on
red lights. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't have any of that. But once it got a pretty good ways to the east of us, what was the craziest thing is that it went like off, on, off, on, off, and then that was it. It was gone.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, it was like someone flicked the light switch off and on,
mm-hmm.
and then just kept it off. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was wild.
Wow.
I think our first show we did was it about the Georgia Guidestones, or was it 2012, the apocalypse? It was one of those two.
Yeah, I'm wanting to think that it was the Georgia Guidestones was one of the first ones we did before, because we talked about the Georgia Guidestones and the links between the Georgia Guidestones and the Denver International Airport.
Yeah.
And stuff. So
yeah, it was right after that show, and it looked like a UFO to me, but
I definitely didn't know what it was, so it was unidentified.
Yeah.
And if it was a plane, you'd see the lights flashing and stuff, the red and green and
the
flash they have. Yeah. So
I will tell you about the dream I had. I was sick for a little while 2 years ago, and my heart had got out of rhythm somehow. I don't know how, but I had this very lucid dream about aliens. I don't know why. But it was, to me, it was real. I don't know if they like abducted me or something, but it felt real, because I don't remember a lot of things, but I do remember this dream. I came outside and they were there. They looked perfect, like me and you. They were, human form. But there was a child there, and it had shot me with something. But I ended up on the ground paralyzed and couldn't move at all. It was just simply paralyzed. And the child came over and put his hand on my chest, because this is the time I was having heart problems, and was telling me they were going to take me with them. I don't know exactly the conversation, but I remember him putting his hand on my chest, and then I said, no, I can't go. I have a family and kids. And the next thing I know, I'm in this stairwell in this room, and then a few things happened. I mean, it looked like they were, I don't know, can't remember exactly that part, but then I quickly woke up, and that was my lucid dream.
Wow.
And,
So
and
I
how was
don't
your
know. Go ahead.
how was your heart after that?
They got it back in rhythm. I'm pretty good now.
Wow.
Perfectly fine.
Do you think maybe it wasn't a dream and maybe the aliens actually helped you?
I think so. I mean, I know the doctors. They shocked my heart back into rhythm, but
Mhm.
I had a collapsed lung at the time too because the fluid had built up around my
Yep.
lung,
Wow.
and that went away. And I don't know, just everything came back, and I was perfectly normal. But I'll never forget
Well,
the
as
dream
normal
that
as
I
you can
had.
be. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm normal.
Though, I really truly believe that that could very well have happened to you because I've heard, Brandy and I have a friend, Chris Kramer, and he swears that he was healed by Bigfoot.
Hmm.
So
Really?
to me, this stuff, yeah, I think it's possible. I
Yeah.
do. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that
And
they.
when I ask for help with my health, I don't exactly ask God. I just ask for help. I don't know
Yeah.
who's hearing me because I don't know what's out there really. But I do know that I got help that day, I think.
Yeah.
And somebody that I said, I can't remember the exact verbiage, but I think it was the more lucid your dreams are, the more real experience it is.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
just a dream, not your subconscious
Right.
doing its thing. It's
Yep.
a real thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So
hmm I've had a dream like that too myself, but mine had to do with I'm good friends with Tony Pickman from the Sally House, and he had told me many years ago never even drive by that house and blah 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 blah. So I had a dream one night. I was standing in front of the Sally House, and it was a demonic entity was like waiting on me to walk over the threshold over like on the grass of the Sally House, and I never did. And I seriously believe that that was not a dream, that it was a threat. Like this demonic entity was waiting on me to cross, onto that,
Hmm.
that grass. And Tony had told me don't even drive by there because bad stuff has happened to people just for looking in the window. So it was a big thing, and I had that dream, and I believe it was a true demonic entity trying to lure me over. And I didn't go.
good.
Yeah.
that's
But I mean, I
Always
think it's like
always
these
listen.
dreams, is my point. Like, there's more to a dream than a dream.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
You could be, a lot of times, man, David's talked about, past lives in your dreams.
Yeah.
Well, I think I had one of those as a kid. Yeah. Majorly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a dream like that is a past
Yeah.
life?
So when I grew up, it was a very strict Southern Baptist home. When I mean very strict, we went to Christian private school. We was at church every day, literally. We didn't own a TV because that was of Satan. And so I was, I don't know, I think 13, 14 before we even had a TV in our house. And so I was about 9 years old. And I say that because there was no context for, in my mind, that I'd ever seen a movie, heard anything or anything about, because I really believe it was like World War II is what I believe, or something like that, maybe Korean War or something, but I don't know. But I had reoccurring dreams that were very lucid of me being a pilot and being shot down tons of times.
Really?
And then me and my stepdad went to a Boy Scouts thing, and I pitched my tent, my little pup tent that night. And, you do what you do in the Boy Scouts, and went to sleep that night. and had probably the most lucid dream I've ever had in my life. I remember waking up hearing like mortars going off.
Wow.
And I could smell sulfur in the air from the gunfire and stuff. And so I got up and I looked down and I'm wearing green. And I've got a rifle in my hand and I take off running. And then, if anybody knows West Texas too, there's thorns everywhere and I'm barefooted. And so I take off running. I hit the ground. I shoot back a few times. And again, you could hear like mortars and stuff going off and bombs blowing up and hear gunfire whizzing past your head. And the only thing that woke me up, I was about a mile away from where we had camped. And I had so many thorns and stuff in the bottoms of my feet is what finally actually woke me up out of that. But it was probably the most lucid thing that has ever happened to me. Because, I mean, I not only smelt it, you could taste the sulfur in the air. Wow. I mean, hear it. It was as real as anything I've ever, had in the waking world.
Wow.
And I really believe that it was a past life. I really do.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, the smell and the sounds of it all. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Paul, have you had one? Because the three of us have.
Lucid dreams. Yeah, I had one not too terribly long ago, and it wasn't really anything. Well, I mean, it was everything to me. It was, I had, my parents are both deceased, and I hadn't really dreamt of my mom much, or I mean, I've smelled my dad's cologne around the house and stuff, and I've had signs that my dad's been around. But never really my mom. She was always kind of shy and stuff, and so she kind of hit back. But one night I remember having a dream that my dad took on like different forms of stuff, but I could tell it was my dad. But my mom stayed my mom through the whole dream, and I remember hugging her, and I remember her saying that she really missed that. And I don't know if I started crying or what, but I remember that I really missed that too. So that was really, really a lucid dream. And I woke up thinking, wow, was she here? I mean, that was pretty cool. That was mine. So
wow.
That was pretty cool. So anyway, where were we going with this?
You're just talking about dreams, talking about weird stuff.
Talking about weird stuff. Speaking of weird stuff, Dave, that's not where I'm going with it, but
weirdo.
Weird, yeah. Well, yeah.
You were an over-the-road trucker.
Yes. For a long time.
In case you didn't know that, you had a Bigfoot experience.
Yes, in Washington State.
Yeah.
At the time, my wife and I were team drivers. And so she drove daytime, I drove nights.
Now, before you get into the story, did you believe in Bigfoot back then? Did you think Bigfoot was real or what?
I did. I thought there was a possibility, right? I thought more than I ever did Dogman, right? I've had to do a lot of research and stuff before I really started. And then having some people that I really, like Jason said, he really kind of trusted me, but some people that I really know and trust that had experiences with Dogman, to really start going down that road, But I really thought, with all the evidence that's come out there, I've watched, I can't tell you how many, shows and everything about Bigfoot. I always believed that the possibility was there, And boy, would I have loved to have ever seen him, right? But I never really thought that would happen. Ever. Right. I mean, especially driving a truck.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a road sighting, I guess you would call it, something that I hear is pretty common. Probably one of the most common ways of people seeing Bigfoot. And but the wife, she drove days, I drove nights. We had just switched over maybe about a couple of hours before, was on I-90 going through, and was going to drop off that next morning. So was going to get there the night of, sleep, then drop off the next morning. And so I'm driving on I-90 late at night, it's dead. I mean, there's hardly anybody there at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you could probably fall asleep at the wheel and not have to worry about hitting nothing but a tree,
Mm-hmm.
But I was driving, going westbound, and there was probably a light fog bank to where like about 4 cars away or so, you couldn't really make out the car, but you could see the tail lights of the car. And so I'm just sitting there driving, and all of a sudden come out of the median, and he takes like 3 steps and he's across the whole interstate. It's a 2-lane interstate down through there. 3 steps, he's across the other side and back up the side of the mountain on the other side before I could even reach where he was, just 4 car lengths ahead. Wow. And I mean, it happened just like that. It was amazing. I think one of the hardest things to process at the time was not only how fast it was, but how large it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're up in a semi, you're sitting pretty high up off the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm more than sure I could have rolled down the window and had a face-to-face conversation with him.
And this was a dog man?
No, Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot. Gotcha.
Bigfoot,
okay.
Yeah.
I find that interesting too. I guess maybe because like truck drivers are out on the road all the time, because I know, like you had a Bigfoot encounter. I know 2 other truck drivers, Andrew, Paul, who's in our chats all the time. He had a dog man encounter while he was driving his.
Wow.
And then Joe Barger up in Michigan, he actually shot a dog man.
Really?
He was an over the road truck driver. Yeah. Look it up. And so I guess maybe you guys are out on the road all the time or something. I don't know, but it's just, it's common,
And driving, a lot of times hours that most other people are not on the road, when it's easier to drive at night than it is during the day.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it was amazing. And our really good friend, Mr. Matt Sieber from East Tennessee, Bigfoot, was one of the first people that I picked up my phone and I was like, I guess what just happened.
Mm-hmm. How long ago was that?
Oh, Lord. I want to say 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was.
How color was it?
Well, it was nighttime. My lights hit him, but he was right at that little fog bank. But he was dark in color.
Gotcha.
He wasn't a a reddish color or nothing. He was a darker brown color. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's
Did
why
you
need
have
a
any
dash
kind of
cam.
weird? Did you have any kind of weird sensation at all?
I didn't. What I found kind of interesting about it was just before he stepped out, and maybe it's a coincidence, but just before he stepped out, I actually looked over onto the median on that side of the road. Really? And and it wasn't like there was any mind speak or anything going. It was just, for some reason, I'm watching, just driving, and then all of a sudden I just kind of look over and there he is. And so that, I mean, I don't even know how to explain that.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe just right place at the right time. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And luckily you didn't freak out enough to where you swerved your truck off the road.
No, I was going to be like, well, you better be faster than the truck is, I think the speed limit down through there is like 65 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And, but he was fast enough that he could clear both lanes, the median, or come from the median, both lanes, the hard shoulder, and then go back up before I even got to where he was.
Wow.
And it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where did you say this was in Washington again?
It was on I-90. So we had got through Spokane already, and we was going west. And so we was probably about an hour and a half or so outside Spokane, going westbound.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think we were still quite a ways from like Snoqualmie and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We were still a few hours away from Snoqualmie. I know Snoqualmie and stuff, they get a lot of sightings and stuff up through there, but
yeah,
we were probably through there I don't know. I'd say at least once a month, if not twice a month.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So let's talk about some of your investigations that you guys have done recently. Where do you guys like to go?
We like doing a lot of residential stuff.
Really?
Yeah. I really like doing residential.
I'm with you on that. I like the private cases myself.
Yes. Yeah. And I like them for a few different reasons. But I watched a show one time and I forgot the name of the show, but they were going in to do a residential place. But before they went, they decided to do an intention experiment. And so they set their intentions on the name of the lady that was going to haunt this place, why she was haunting the place. I mean, they went all out. Now I'll have to find it. I've said that 15 times, haven't I, Jason? But I'll have to go back through and find it. But at the end of it all, and this wasn't the first people to ever do this type of an experiment, but once it all came down, when they actually were in there doing their investigation, everything happened. They was getting EVPs with this woman's name that they made up. They were getting, all these different things that they made up. They controlled, made all this stuff up, and just did intentions on that house. And so it makes me think, and I think that, are a lot of these really big places haunted? Yeah, I really do think that they are. That's what starts these big places, getting their names out. But with these intention experiments proving that you can set intentions and it can make other things happen, how much is it that 20 years down the road that you go to this really hot place, how much of that is the original activity and how much of that is intentions that's been put on by other people that's gone there before? Because you hear it because it's easy to say. A lot of people love saying, oh, man, this place was demonic. It was this, it was that. And was it that way originally, or did it end up being that way because other people went in with their intentions on,
right?
This is all demonic stuff. It scratches you and it does all these things, and then all of a sudden now it starts scratching people.
Right? Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah, and so when you get into residential cases, if something starts happening in a residential case, you're going to have part of that, because that person in that home is going to start setting their intentions. Oh my gosh, what is this? What's in my house? What's going on? And so, but it's easier to mold through some of those when it's first happening versus years later.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard to know what the original was versus what the intentions are. So that's kind of my reasoning behind it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then even, that totally makes sense with what you just said. So there's a place, actually, we're investigating it next weekend. It's called the Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri. And there's a tunnel, an underground tunnel there. And my past team that I was with, one of the guys used to call the guy that haunted down there Mr. Boots. Well, we had a very well-known psychic medium come in there, and he said, there is no Mr. Boots in here, and there's nobody by that name, blah, 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 blah. So, over time, because every time we would investigate there, and I'm telling you, I've probably been there 30 times and investigated, every time the same investigator, he would stay down there in those tunnels and he would talk to Mr. Boots, and then somebody got an EVP saying, Mr. Boots. But like you said, maybe he was putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? Like what you said. So that makes total sense to me, because I know, like, when I go next weekend, I'm not going to go down that tunnel and talk to Mr. Boots.
Intentions are powerful, and when you're talking manifestation and you're trying to manifest things into your life, right? It's those same intentions that you have to put out to manifest these things into your life, and so when you do those kinds of things to objects, then something's going to start happening because we have the power to do those things. Manifestation is
for
real.
everything. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's even, I think that even holds true going out, looking up in the skies and putting out there, for like UFOs, and same
Yes.
thing, with,
Yep.
going out in the woods, looking for Bigfoot. It's the same
Yep.
thing.
Absolutely. Yep.
But then again, I've also thought that, and it's kind of happened a little bit, that if you, maybe this isn't intention, but if you put something out there,
Mhm.
like you say, I want to have a dream about my mom, I want to have a dream about a past life or something like that, then it could possibly happen.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I mean, there's that too.
Yep.
I truly believe, and there's a friend of mine, she's big on manifesting. So you put out in the world what you want,
Absolutely.
Good health, good wellness, things like
Yep.
that. I believe you'll get it. I totally
Yes.
believe what you put
I'll
out.
tell you, the wife and I have done really some amazing things with manifesting.
Mhm.
We've had some times where we've needed some things around the house, around for the chickens or for whatever it was, and we put it out there. Like for instance, a chicken door. Those automatic chicken doors. Those things are $200 a pop.
Yeah.
They're easily $200 each. And Jason will know this place, but there used to be a place just down the road that was a $5 store. And so every Saturday and Sunday, they would get these shipments in, and everything was $5. Didn't matter what it was. If it was a TV, it was $5.
Mhm.
And so we'd been putting this out for about 2 weeks that we needed another one. Wife went in. One of the first things that she found was a brand spanking new one.
Wow.
$5.
Yeah.
$5.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's manifesting.
It's
Absolutely.
manifesting 100%. But
Yep.
it takes a lot because you have to believe it 100%. You have to believe 100% that it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And that you are going to receive or whatever it is, it is going to happen, and then you got to picture it,
Yep.
and it will come. I will promise you that it will come. Uh-oh. Alarm.
Somebody stealing a car?
Yeah.
You can catch him. You're just quick. Turn the camera around. We got all kinds of witnesses here. We have almost 40.
Yes.
They don't know who they're messing with.
Yeah.
Jason, you were talking backstage about your wife had some encounter with a shadow man, I think you said.
No, not a shadow, just an apparition.
Apparition. Okay.
Now this is a place that we've investigated twice, I think.
Yeah.
It's an old house out on a farm. It's my wife's family's property, and the house is just hot. That's where we caught the apparition of a man, the dead bell going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife has a story right in front of this house on the road that used to run between towns, and it's an old dirt road that right now it just goes straight into the woods. But her and her brother was out playing when they were younger in the yard, and she hears this like horse hooves.
Oh, wow.
And then she looks down the road and sees a horse and buggy coming with a man in it, and he's in old clothes, has a top hat, and behind the horse and buggy there was a woman and a young child. So they just was coming down the road toward her and past her, and the woman and child wouldn't look up at her. The kid, the boy, she said, was kicking rocks and things, playing in the gravel. But the man, when they went by, sort of tipped his hat, like saying howdy, and and things like that. And then it just went on past the house down through the woods, and it just like disappeared. So later on, a few years later, when she got older, she was in Florida with, I think, her grandmother, and they were looking at old pictures, and they were turning pictures, and she says she spots a picture, and she asked who it was, and it was her great grandfather in that picture, and it was the same man that had tipped his hat at her.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Wow.
That story is in our book, but it's a great story, and
Yeah, especially
just
when you
don't-
see past relatives. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it was residual, maybe, but when it tipped its hat, it's got to be, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, if
some
it
kind of
acknowledged
intelligent
you.
thing.
Yeah, it's definitely not residual. Sure.
Mhm.
But that road, it dead ends into the woods now. It used to run from Philadelphia to Sweetwater, and but that's a pretty wild story that she told.
Wow. It's incredible.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that house right there where she was playing is where
Oh,
we
yeah.
do investigations. And
Yeah, that's where I got my first look at
a full body apparition
yes,
on the thermal.
on the thermal. It was on thermal, but I seen it. Everybody
In the
around
video,
me, I
he's
was showing it to
screaming,
them.
"Ah!"
I started screaming when it turned around and walked away. I started screaming,
Yeah, he's like, look,
and
look,
I was
look, look, look,
excited,
look.
really.
Yeah.
But I had a thermal that, I don't know, it's like a mechanic's thermal,
Hmm.
and it wasn't video, and it was snapping pictures. So I thought I had this thing on video, but I did get it on a picture or two.
Wow.
But it had came in through. There was a laundry room where the washer and dryer, then a bathroom. But it came up to the door of the laundry room,
Mhm.
the doorway, and was looking out and looking around like this. And I was showing the people behind me, yeah, and they were screaming, going on. But then when it turned around and just walked away, it's what really got me. I knew then it was somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
So, and that's on our the Haunting in Philadelphia or Philly video on YouTube.
Philly video, yeah. Yeah, it's
Is
actually
that one of-
pretty good.
Was that one of your earlier ones?
Yeah, he's got it set as the very first one you see when you come into the our YouTube.
Oh yeah. The welcome or the
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
video or whatever that is.
Yeah, it automatically starts playing and everything. That's the very first one that's in there, and it's pretty neat. There's some crazy stuff that happens that night, and you know,
I'm gonna have to shut
we
this
have
dog up.
Is Bella barking?
Yeah.
So guys,
We're
if
pet
you,
friendly here.
guys, if you want to go see that video, there's the link to their YouTube page that Pam has up. Make sure you go over there and check that. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to them too, by the way.
Thank you.
I did when we were in Townsend.
So did I.
Yes.
Yep, I did. I have a question for you guys. What kind of equipment do you guys use when you do investigation?
You know what? You stole my question.
I'm sorry, I had it wrote down. I swear I wrote it down. I'm
we
sorry.
we have all kinds of stuff. So Jason and I built our own SLS camera.
Very cool.
That video's also on our YouTube page on teaching people how to do it. You know, those things cost like $500 a piece.
Great.
You could build one for $2 or less, depending on what you might already have at your house.
Mm-hmm.
But so we have an SLS camera. But we have a thermal. What else do we have, Jason? I mean, we've got all your regular stuff.
We got the cat balls, we got the dowsing rods, we got thermal, night vision, and I had built a portal.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
portal's neat.
built a
It
portal.
kinda-
Yes.
yeah.
So what it is
uses-
it takes.
Tell them.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
It takes the what is that
My
called
wife,
now?
my daughter's in the background here trying to
Yeah.
find her something to eat.
She on there?
That's okay. We're kid friendly too.
Yeah.
It takes the why can't I think of the name of it now, Jason?
The
So it has-
SB7.
Yeah, the spirit box.
Yeah.
It takes the spirit box and it runs it through a pedal that takes all the hissing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it runs it through another pedal that adds reverb. So then you don't get that through it.
Right.
And then the reverb, when you hear voices, it actually adds a little echo so you can actually understand the words that are being said a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And then it runs that through a mini amp. And so you could really hear it. That last time we took that out,
Yeah.
it was amazing on some of the stuff that we caught on that.
Wow.
It was I mean the SB7's fun to use, but making the portal out of it is just it makes it a completely different piece of equipment that's actually better
Yeah.
to use.
Yeah, especially if you can understand better too, because
Yes.
some of those I can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
know,
Sometimes it's really
like-
hard.
People will say, "Oh, it said house." Well, I'm like, "How did you hear house out of that? Out of
And we make sure that we have digital voice recorders running when we do those too, because when we go back, then we could go back and say, "Oh yeah, this is what
verify."
it says."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
And so we run that. We have cameras that we use.
Mhm.
What else do we have, Jason? We've got all kinds of equipment,
That's
but it's
awesome.
over many years of just collecting
Yeah.
a little here,
Sure.
a little there,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and
Meters and
Yeah.
things like that. But
Mhm.
Dave was talking about the last place we used the portal was a courthouse. I'm not going to say the name because I don't think they'd want. We got
they said,
we got the mayor let us come in there, but he
Yeah.
didn't want the name mentioned.
yeah.
Sure.
So and
Wow.
this courthouse was built in
Well-
the 1800s.
We live in the South, and he wants to get reelected. So
And actually, it's our
Yeah.
well, we did the old church, but it
Yeah.
wasn't too long ago. It was probably 3 or 4 months ago we went
Yeah.
to the
Wow.
courthouse.
Yeah.
And
we didn't do it live there, but we did a recap of what we saw the week after.
yeah,
Mhm.
and we got a lot of the information that we got from the portal and from the voice recorders.
Yeah.
It corroborated with the guard that was there telling us after we got this information that yes, there was somebody here named that, a judge was named that. It was just wild.
We were down in a part of the it's a historic courthouse. Now they still use it, but it was a historic courthouse. And
Still has
we
the
was
bars
down-
in the walls.
Yeah,
Wow.
we was down. Well, when they was remodeling and they was wanting to make this one area into a room, because of the historic nature, they couldn't get rid of all the bars, so they just had to enclose the bars inside the wall. And where we were at was where they used to put the people that were going to be going out and getting hung, and that's the room that we was in there doing EVP work and stuff in.
Wow.
And you want to talk amazing. He told us they told us we could come back anytime we wanted to. All we just needed to do is let them know. Yeah.
One of the cases that we're talking about, it was huge. People came from all over Tennessee and probably out of state to see this hanging. The guy had killed his wife, right?
Yeah.
And but when we were sitting in the room where they hold the inmates that are sentenced to death, we were getting names, and then there was something about a brother-in-law, and
Well, see, his mother tried to
Yes.
sneak in poison so he could take that poison and kill himself, so he didn't have to get hung.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and
we
she
found
got
this
caught.
out
Well, actually, he
afterwards.
took it. Yeah, he took it, but they made him throw up and everything so they could still hang him.
Mhm.
But all of that stuff came through in our EVP work and stuff. and we didn't find out, about it until after we started doing the research and asking that officer that was there, because he knew a lot of the history. And he was like, wow, yeah, that actually happened. And he started telling us the stories. It was neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was wild.
So do you guys, when you go to investigate places, do you like to know what the history is of the place beforehand?
If I cannot, I would rather.
Okay.
I would rather, just because I don't want to accidentally hear a name, just say on the SB7, and then try to correlate that to this and it be false, So if I don't know anything, and then when we go back through and we're doing our, listening through the EVPs and doing all that stuff, and then we find out the information, I think it's easier.
It validates.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't know hardly anything about that courthouse. It just, it was spur of the moment, actually.
Yeah. We were just like, hey, would you guys like to come here and do this? You can't tell nobody, where it is, because,
Right.
But it was like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
What are some other places that you've gotten some good evidence from?
Well, the farmhouse, what happened at the farmhouse one time, I think it was the second time we went.
Yeah.
What was really cool about that place is that we had the SLS camera rolling and the dead bell sitting on a counter, and you would see this stick figure pop up, and then you would kind of see it reach, and then the dead bell would go ping, and it did it like multiple times in a row. And I mean, you're like, you can't get any more corroborative than that when you've got multiple pieces of multiple devices telling you something's there,
Paul knows all about the dead bell, don't you, Paul? And
Love the dead bell. Yeah.
That thing is awesome.
You were with my friend.
Yeah. So we were in a stairwell or something, and I had the dead bell on a ledge. And I think the
Got
question
it on video too. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It was your first ghost hunt, though, wasn't it?
It was. It was a very eventful ghost hunt too. And the question I asked was, "Do you like us being here? If you don't like us being here, ring the dead bell." And I no sooner did I get the words out of my mouth, the dead bell goes off. Like, okay, we're gone. Grabbed it and left. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny. He was with my friend that I've known many years, and she was new too. She had never done a ghost investigation, so it was just funny that I don't know if you shot the video or if Jennifer shot the video. Okay, but yeah, it was hilarious, and you're not like that anymore. You don't leave anymore, so
no,
a long way, Paul.
Yeah. Unless they scratch me or do something, then I'll leave. But
I just get more inquisitive. Like when I was scratched, it didn't bother me a bit. I don't know. I guess seeing these things from a young age, all the way up till now, the dead people.
Yeah, I'm totally different than David. He's more brave, or he's braver than me.
I run to it.
We went to we had went to a cemetery, and done a little, and it was short. Let me tell you, a short investigation.
Did you make it short?
Yes. Jason made it short.
If things hadn't happened, it wouldn't have been so short. But let me tell you what happened. So we get out of the truck, go over. I got the camera fully charged, flashlight fully charged. It's night vision camera. So I'm going. David's done off in the grave somewhere. So I'm over there looking at the, panning my camera here and there, and I'm seeing these little white orb looking things. And I'd look out and I couldn't see them with my eye, but when I go back to the night vision, there they were. Probably about 5-10 minutes into the thing, the camera quit, the flashlight quit, and the batteries were dead. But before the camera quit, I kind of panned over to try to find David, and there was this red orb. I promise you, it was wicked.
Mhm.
It wasn't in the sky. It was close to the
It was in the
ground.
tree line. It was in the,
Yeah,
in the tree line. Yeah.
It was not nothing in the sky. But after that, the cameras and everything shut off, and I told David, I got to get back in the truck.
I'm doing
I didn't
EVP
feel good.
sessions. I'm like, no, Jason, come on, man. We just barely
He's
got
out
here.
there in complete darkness, and I'm saying, no, I'm going
No
back
flashlight,
to the
no
truck.
nothing. I'm way out there.
Wow.
You know what though? I'm with you, David, though. So like I think I've been doing the paranormal for so long, ghosts don't scare me anymore. Like I've been scratched, I've had my hair pulled, I've been choked. Now the choking that's happened twice. That did freak me out. But as far as like the scratching and stuff, because my belief, I'll tell you real quick, Paul was scratched. And I don't think that it's necessarily like such a negative thing. It could be, what if they're just trying to get your attention?
That's what I think it is. I really
Yeah. So, but like I said, that doesn't scare me anymore. So that's why I got into the cryptid thing. Now my adrenaline rush is back when you go in and look.
And I'm still a little bit leery about direct going off into the woods late at night. I'm still on the fence about that. I don't know yet.
Growing up, I lived way up in the mountains, up in Crossville area, and my family there, are native. They're Native American,
Mhm.
and so most of them dig herbs and stuff. So, from pretty early on, I was out digging ginseng and golden seal and bloodroot and just you name it, and was out. And to find most of those herbs, you're not just walking off the side of the side of the road. You're 10 miles back into the mountains, and so the mountains, as far as I'm concerned, they don't bother me. Yeah.
Until you meet a dog man in them.
No, the worst thing I ever met out there was people
And
growing
no cell service.
pot. They were growing pot. Well,
Yeah.
this was before cell phones, so we didn't even have cell phones to not have service.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times, you got to watch out for the meth heads and that kind of stuff being out there, for sure.
Yeah, we run across a big pot patch, huge one.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And we just started kind of going around it, just to keep looking for ginseng.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we started getting shot at. So we hightail it back out of there. But, my other uncle, because I was there with my uncle, but my other uncle, his brother was actually head of the East Tennessee Drug Task Force.
Oh, wow.
So we just told them where it was.
Yep. Good for you.
There you go. Stumble across it, and
Oh, if they're going to shoot at you,
If they wouldn't have shot at me, I wouldn't have cared, to be honest with you. But the second you start shooting at me, you should have hit me. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, definitely. They made it worse. They
did.
Yeah. So have you guys in your travels or anything, have you guys had either have you had attachments follow you home or anything? Or what do you do to prevent that?
Me, we sage, and I think, again, intentions are some of the best things that you could do. Mm-hmm. I've never had an attachment follow me home, but I had someone else's attachment follow me home.
Yeah.
Because we had a neighbor that their daughter had this entity. Some would probably call it demonic, but it was definitely a bad entity that was plaguing her. And every time she saw this thing, it was telling her to kill her sister.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And so when I heard about it, because they knew that I like to do all this stuff, I went over there and talked to her. She was, I don't know, maybe 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, something like that. And I asked her if she would draw me a picture. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Black-Eyed Children, but that's the picture she drew was like a little girl with these just solid black eyes, and its mouth was wide open, and it had like 3 layers of like shark teeth.
Mhm.
And that's the picture of the thing that was constantly telling her to kill her sister. And so I went in and started trying to find out where this thing was. And I found a piece of furniture that I was very sure that it was attached to. I mean, very sure. And not only the feelings you get, but the instruments also corroborated the feelings that I was getting with it. And so I started asking questions about it. The piece of furniture they had bought secondhand. And I said, well, has there been a time since you purchased it that you hadn't had this piece of furniture in the house? And they was like, yeah, when we moved into this place for a while, it stayed in storage. I said, well, did the entities and all that stuff stop?
Sure.
And they're like, yeah, come to think of it, they completely stopped for that period of time. So I was pretty convinced, but since I was only able to do it by myself, Jason was not able to come over that day. We was going to go back the next day and let Jason, I was not going to tell him nothing, let him see if he got the same thing I got, And so, but I told it that I was going to get it out of this little girl's life. I was not going to allow you to be there no more. And I made it a promise. And so I went home. I took that picture that she drew me, folded it up, put it in my wallet, went home, showed it to the wife. The wife says she never wanted to see it again. And I put it on top of the microwave because I was about to go to work. And I was going to show it to Jason. So then that way he knew, kind of some background before he went in. I wasn't going to tell him what I thought it was or where I thought it was, but just give him a little background, what some of the things that was going on. And when I got dressed, I came back out to get the paper off the top of the microwave. It was no longer there. Mm-hmm. That paper wasn't sitting on top of the microwave anymore. And so I asked the wife, and my wife's like, I told you I didn't want nothing to do with that. And so I started looking around, and above the microwave, opened up the cabinets, and on the third shelf up, there that paper was sitting on some plates. Now, how it got there with me and the wife being the only ones there and she didn't touch it, I don't know. But I went to work, told Jason about it, came back home that night, went to bed, 3 o'clock in the morning, exactly 3 o'clock in the morning. The alarm right outside of my bedroom door starts going off. The smoke alarm does. And so I jump up out of bed, open up the door, walk into the hallway. As soon as I walk into the hallway, it stops. Completely stops. And I said, I know who you are, and I know what you're trying to do. I said, you're trying to scare me. I said, it doesn't work. I said, I didn't allow you in my home. You have to leave. And I'm still going to get rid of you. Now, the craziest part of every bit of this story is that Jason came over the next day. We tried calling them. We went and knocked on their door. They were home. We could see they were there. They closed every shutter, locked every single door. And that's where I knew that it went from, it wasn't just the daughter, that the whole house had an oppression on that whole house. And the worst thing about it was that we was never able to do anything about it. They never talked to us another day after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you said the paper was in a cabinet?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Second shelf up in a cabinet. Don't even know how it got there. It was like it didn't want me to show it to Jason.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So you both have mentioned your wives with experiences and encounters and stuff. What do they think about you guys going off and exploring these haunted locations?
Jason,
do they go with you or?
Yeah. Most of the time they go with us. If it's out in the woods, probably not, but where we did the church the church that was out in the woods, they didn't go then, but they did go to us to the courthouse. And they've been on quite a few.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So they actually Dave's wife had a pretty good experience at that farmhouse outside of the farmhouse.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It scared the you know what out of her.
It was pretty wild.
And I think, was that the first time? That was the second time we were there, was it not?
Yeah, it was the second time.
Was it the first time? No, she said it's the first time.
The first time.
Yeah, it was the very first investigation she'd ever been to, too. And we were all in there, and she was kind of getting tired. So she was going to go out to the car and just, lay the seat back and take a nap. She got about 5 feet away from the car, and the door's locked. And she took another step, and the door's locked again. And so she turned around and came back inside like, well, why was you locking the doors? And I was like, I'm sitting here with an SLS camera in my hand and everything. I'm like, I ain't locking any doors,
Yeah.
So I hand her the keys to the car. And she goes back out to the car. And what exactly was it that happened to you? I'm sorry. She's telling me.
It's okay. If she wants to come on, she can come on. Sit next to you.
She's in the swimming pool.
Oh.
Oh, a little jealous.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, so she got in. She kept hearing some kind of a noise, and then the car doors, with her having the keys in her hand, started locking again.
Oh, wow.
And she came in practically in tears.
Yeah.
That was a heck of a first experience,
Yeah, I was messing with her. My wife kind of loves. She goes for it. So.
Good deal.
I keep trying to get my wife to go. She likes this stuff, but she says, that's your thing. You go do your thing. I'm like, and that's fine.
It's fun to share. It is, especially when they take part.
Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, Jason, I just saw you, the kiddo grab a banana.
Yeah, I did too.
Get out of my camera.
It was his house Bigfoot that he's caught. He's not telling anybody yet.
I've been seeing everybody go in the refrigerator. I'm getting kind of hungry myself, and I just ate dinner right before we came. We just went and got groceries today, so they're going to raid the refrigerator.
It's funny. We spent like $200 on groceries today, and we're like, we don't have anything to snack on. We need something to eat.
Yeah.
So yeah. Tell us a little bit about you guys said you had a book out, a couple books.
One, yeah, we discontinued the first one.
It's got the same. It's just a revised.
What we did is it was a really small kind of book, and so what we did when we made the new book, we kind of incorporated some of the stuff that was in the original book into edition 2. So then that way, it was a little bit bigger. We have a couple personal stories. The one where, the ghost girl and I at the house that, Jason got his first experience. It has a long story of the games that her and I used to play on Saturday mornings in there. It's got the story of Jason's wife and stuff like that. But then we took a lot of East Tennessee folklore and stuff like that. And so we've got it's in 3 categories. So you have UFOs and stuff that have been documented in East Tennessee, and then cryptids in East Tennessee, and then the paranormal in East Tennessee. So we've kind of got it into 3 categories. So then you could kind of go in and thumb through. If you just like cryptids, you could just look at that. If you like, paranormal, you could just look at those chapters and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. And where can people find this?
Amazon, or you could go to our website, paranormal411.org. And it's a big old link right there when you first come up on the first page.
Yeah, I'm putting that link in the chat there for anybody that wants to head on over to their website. So you guys are located in Tennessee. Obviously, David, you're down in Mississippi right now, by the beach. You know, we're not jealous at all or anything about
Not at
that.
all.
So you guys, is there anything on your bucket list around you guys where you guys want to look, where you want to investigate, or what do you have in mind?
Go ahead, Jason.
Well, we've got quite a few. Yeah, quite a few on the bucket list. I know we want to do LBL soon, hopefully this year.
Y'all look me up when you guys do. I'll meet you over there. I know that place pretty well.
Do you? Awesome.
Yeah. Brandy
That's
and I,
great.
we've investigated a lot over there, both the cryptid side of things and the ghost side of things. So
Yeah,
Wow.
I've heard that there's quite a few good places to do some paranormal investigations there.
there is.
Is there?
I believe there is. Yep. Look us up.
We
Yeah,
we will.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, we
that's
wanna-
probably about halfway between us, isn't it, Krista?
It's only 3 hours from us.
Yeah, so it's not too terribly far. And probably what,
And
5,
it's
6?
it's about the same for us
Yeah.
It's
So
not that far.
yeah.
because I mean Nashville is about roughly 2.5 hours, and it's not far, north of Nashville. So
Yeah.
We were thinking
so
about
definitely-
going in the fall, so maybe we can get together
when
and
it
go.
cools down just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No kidding.
And then
No kidding.
we have a place in North Georgia we want to go to. It's really not paranormal, but it's something that's been on David's list for a while.
The
It's where the go
track
ahead and tell
rock
them, David.
site. Well, it's a
Yeah,
track
track
rock
rock.
site. So it's in what do they call it? Brasstown Bald in Georgia. They found, I don't know what it was, about 10 years or so ago, they found this, what they call it the track rock site. And I and a lot of other people believe that it is very much probably a Mayan site. It's all stone. It's terraced off sides of the mountain. It's got water features where it brings waters down into the central part of the city. And they've actually found copper plates that are the iconography that's on those copper plates is exactly out of like Chichen Itza and stuff like that. It's amazing. And then all over that area, the Cherokee, the name that they had for it was misinterpreted, and that's where they thought it was brass is what it meant, and that's why they called it Brasstown Bald. But the actual name that the Cherokee called it is the place of the Itza Maya. And so, it's funny though that you have learned people who won't admit that that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And there's really big place there of Palygorskite clay. We still mine it today. And the Maya used it in their Maya blue. So every sacrifice, whatever it was, a person, an object, it got painted in this Maya blue color. And then it was sacrificed. Their big temples were all painted in this Maya blue. What's amazing is that they actually took a piece off of one of those temples and some of that Palygorskite clay from just right there at Brasstown Bald area, and they put them underneath the mass spectrometer, and they are perfectly identical. Not alike, not almost alike. They are 100% identical, the Palygorskite clay.
Wow.
But they still won't admit that they were here in America. So this has been something that I've studied for a long. I love some history and things. And
Yeah.
so,
That's awesome.
yeah.
And it's pretty awesome that the Mayans all the way from Mexico
Yes.
have that in Georgia. That's pretty wow.
Yeah.
And some of the things they found carbon dated back to the time when the Mayans were leaving Mexico, were
Yes.
vanishing.
Yeah. About
That's
600
pretty wild.
CE. Yeah.
600 what?
CE, so Common Era. So anywhere between 600 and 900 CE is a lot. During that time in Central America and stuff, you had a lot of famine. You had a lot of volcanic activity in that area. And that was when the Mayan civilization kind of started declining. And a lot of the stuff that they found at the Track Rock site date back to that time period.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting if you guys get to go there and check that out. And
they've actually opened it up, and it's a place where you could actually go and visit now.
Thanks, Sparky.
Thank you, Sparky. Appreciate you, sir. Just reading the names of the people.
One of my big bucket lists too would be going out west. I'd like to go to Area 51, places like that.
That'd be cool.
New Mexico,
I've always wanted to do a show outside of Area 51, just sitting right in front of the gates. Maybe not right in front. I don't want those security guys.
Those sirens. Have you heard them turn on the sirens if you get too close to the gates?
No.
Yeah.
But set up a little bit right around that area there. That would be kind of cool with the Area 51 background and the behind you. That would be kind of cool.
It'd be neat.
David being a truck driver, he's been through there. I know. I don't know if he's ever stopped, but there's a restaurant that he teases me with on the way in Amarillo.
Oh yeah,
right,
Big
Dave?
Texan. Yeah, the Big Texan.
Big Texan. Yeah. I want to go there so bad.
I'll have to take you for your birthday one year, Jason.
Yeah,
it ain't that far. It's just in Texas. Yeah. We get there in about 18 hours.
Randy and I did a 18 or 16-hour stretch coming home from San Antonio. We drove straight 16 hours. That was a long trip, long day.
Yeah. Wow. That's a long drive. That's a long drive.
Long. Yeah, I thought I'd never get home.
Yeah.
We left like 5 o'clock in the morning, and it was late when I got home. It was an awful trip.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, appreciate you guys coming on here tonight. We do have about 5 minutes or so left. Tell us a little bit about where we can find Paranormal 411 and what all you got coming up.
Jason, you have all the stuff coming up.
So we're going to be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference in Gatlinburg on the 26th of July.
This will be our fifth year.
Fifth year.
Wow.
We'll be there, and then October we have, I think it's October the 11th.
Yeah,
we're going to be at the Knox Public Library in Farragut. Going to be doing a presentation on paranormal. We did one. Was it this year or last year?
Yeah, it was in February. Yeah.
And they asked us to come back, so we're going to be doing another one in October there. It's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's
we might be at the Bigfoot. What is that? The Bigfoot Festival in Crossville,
Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Festival. Yeah, we'll be up there. Yeah. It's in October too, so
yeah, it's towards the end of October.
Sweet.
It's a fun.
Would love to come to your festival, but I don't think we're gonna make it that far.
You know what though? I got to tell you, we got somebody driving 18 hours.
Wow.
Yeah,
Idaho coming to the conference, and we got a guy coming from Alaska.
Is it? Wow, that's a heck of a ride right there. Because I know from our house to Anchorage, where we've been, is 8,200 and some odd miles.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we drove and took a load up there. So
wow.
That's
well, you guys are welcome to come
that's
to our
round trip. I'm sorry, it's 4,000 something miles one way. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, you guys are welcome to come. And if you guys change your mind and want to come, reach out to Paul or I and let us know. We'll advertise you.
Oh, is it on the weekend?
It is.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday and Saturday, sorry. Not the Sunday. 19th and 20th. The pre-party is going to be on that Thursday. So
on the 18th,
yeah. Look out for that.
Is it going to be as fun as what we did after the Bigfoot Festival in Townsend there?
Oh, it's going to be better. We're doing karaoke and everything. You don't even understand.
Karaoke? We got to go, baby.
Yeah, we're going to have a fun time that night.
I'm a karaoke man.
Yeah,
There
he
you
likes,
go. You guys
he likes
need to know.
karaoke.
There might be a few adult beverages
Yeah.
that night. This is
I'm
iced tea
I'm
right now.
one
but-
of those too.
Well,
yeah.
this is what I've been doing since I've been here. You know.
Oh,
There
got the
you go.
Guinness.
And here I am.
Yep.
I'm just drinking my sweet tea.
Me too. I got my tea. I'm not doing anything. So, you know, Dario, he is in Italy. If you would like to come to the conference, I would be very impressed if
That would be awesome.
you would win the prize for the longest
Yeah.
travel.
That would be amazing.
Yep.
But all right, guys. Again, what night are your shows on? I know you have one
Tuesday
7
and
o'clock
Saturdays.
on Saturday. So
Yeah,
No,
Tuesdays.
it's Thursdays.
Or Thursdays. I'm sorry,
Thursday.
Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern to 8, and then our Saturday show is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time.
So basically, everybody in chat, you watch them first, and then they get over, and Blondes and Booze comes on.
Right.
There you go.
Yes.
And then after us is Monica Rollins. So you guys got all night of good shows.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic night.
Yes.
Speaking of fantastic nights, we have I think Donnie Cho's coming on here in about what time is it? 3 minutes.
Yep.
And then make sure you have BMR on later on tonight.
We're not coming on. BMR's not doing a show. We're not doing
Okay,
shows.
so you don't
It's
need
just
to
a
worry
holiday
about
off.
watching don't need to watch BMR tonight. I mean, if you want to watch one of his shows on YouTube,
thank you.
please,
Play, that's
please
fine.
do it.
But yeah, so
Awesome.
But yeah,
we got
so,
a 3-day weekend from Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He gave us all off.
oh, that's very nice.
That's nice.
Do you get a paid time off?
No, unfortunately.
Oh,
Well,
I do want to mention on the 19th of this month we got Greg Ogle going to be on our show. So
Yeah, he's great too.
Mr.
Yeah.
Moist.
And he'll be
and
at our
Harley, Mr. Moist, I got questions for him.
Oh, you know what? Just mention Moist and Sprinkles, and you would have a show right there. That would be a whole 2 hours.
And you know how Moist started? It started that, I don't know, it was over a year ago. I got a random text from him and it just said Moist. And that's how it started. Honest to God, I'm like, what the hell is he sending me? So it just blew up from there. And so now randomly we send memes and all kinds of other things back and forth.
that's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean he's a fantastic guy, a
Yes,
great
he's
guest.
He
And you
is.
got
Yeah.
Harley.
Yeah, we got
another great one
Harley
there.
on the 2nd of September. So
Yeah.
or August.
Awesome.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't need this year to go any faster than it is. Slow
Yes,
it down a little
please.
bit here.
Right. I know my birthday's in August, and I don't want to get any older, but
Yeah, I hear you.
We're not getting older, Jason.
just wiser.
Well, I'm hoping.
At a certain point, you keep the same age, don't you?
That's yes. Yeah. Yeah.
My mom was
Then you just-
29 for a long
That's
time.
it.
There you go.
So, all righty, guys. I appreciate everybody coming in here tonight, and thank Sparky for
Yeah,
the memberships.
thanks, Sparky.
Appreciate you, Sparky. And thank you all for watching. Hope everybody has a safe rest of the weekend, rest of the holiday weekend. Also, before we leave, everybody has all their fingers, and make sure everybody say a little prayer for everybody down in Texas with all those nasty
sure.
floods and everything down there.
Especially the kids. I
yeah.
think there was kids missing. They were
Yeah,
at a camp or
it's
something.
Yeah, it
just
was a
terrible
girls'
down there.
camp,
So,
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful.
yeah.
I hope that's
fireworks?
gunshots.
I am in
Are
the
you-
South. It may be
Are
guns.
you
I
in
don't know.
Iran?
Wow. So, Dave, take cover. Hope to see you next
Watch your
Thursday.
Run the front lines. No.
I feel like you're reporting from
Yeah.
Iran or somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Remember, Donnie Cho's coming up here shortly. So, everybody have a great night. We will talk to you guys soon. See you guys.
Thank you.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.